Imagine returning home after 3 years, only to find your entire town completely empty. No signs of struggle, no bodies, just a chilling, dead silence. In 1590, more than 100 men, women, and children vanished from a remote island without leaving a single trace, except for one cryptic word carved into a wooden post. This is the terrifying mystery of the Roanoke colony. Our story begins in 1587. John White, an English explorer, led a group of 115 hopeful settlers across the treacherous Atlantic Ocean. They were looking for a new life, a fresh start in the New World. They landed on Roanoke Island off the coast of modern-day North Carolina. At first, everything seemed perfect. Houses were built, crops were planted, and the colony's first baby, Virginia Dare, was born. But reality soon hit hard. Food supplies began to dry up and tensions with the local Native American tribes grew dangerous. The settlers were starving and terrified. Desperate for help, the colony begged John White to sail back to England to bring food and supplies. White didn't want to leave his family behind, but he had no choice. He promised to return in just a few months. He had no idea he would never see them again. When John White finally arrived in England, he faced a nightmare. Queen Elizabeth I had just declared war against the massive Spanish Armada. Every single English ship was confiscated for the war effort. White was trapped. Weeks turned into months, and months turned into 3 long, excruciating years. Back on Roanoke Island, the settlers were left entirely alone, counting the days, starving, and waiting for a rescue ship that never came. August 18th, 1590. Exactly 3 years later, the war ended, and John White finally anchored his ship back at Roanoke Island. It was evening and darkness was crawling in. White and his men stepped onto the shore. They shouted into the woods, but only their own echoes replied. They walked into the settlement. The heavy wooden gates were wide open. Houses were dismantled. There was no fire, no clothing, no food. An entire colony of 115 people had completely vanished into thin air. As White frantically searched for his family, his lantern caught something carved into a massive wooden post at the entrance of the fort. It was a single, cryptic word in all capital letters, Croatoan, and on a nearby tree the letters CRO were carved. There was no cross, which was the secret distress signal White told them to leave if they were in danger. Did they leave willingly, or were they forced to write it? For over 4 centuries, historians have argued over what happened to the lost colony. The first theory suggests they were brutally massacred by local tribes, but no bodies or bones were ever found. The second theory is that they starved and tried to build small boats to sail back to England, only to be swallowed by the ocean. But the most haunting theory is that they integrated with the Croatoan tribe to survive, slowly losing their English identity. To this day, the true fate of John White's family remains buried in the shadows of history. What do you think happened to the lost colony? Let me know in the comments below.